tonight is our community manager edition. So we have, I am not a community manager. I'm just here to moderate. But we do have community managers from 3 wonderful communities on Twitch. We have Taudriel, who is our CM here, who you guys know very well. We have CaptHowdy down below there, who is the CM for Pumpkinberry. And we have Bunheadwhat, who is the CM for Kyente, who you guys saw on the last panel last month. Oh, I feel like things need to start getting like thrown, like all the flowers up on the stage, and oh my,
congratulations.
No. So we have a focus tonight on what we're going to be talking about as far as managing communities, moderation, all those things, and we want to talk a little bit about those roles themselves, so that for people that are looking into getting into being moderators or want to be a community manager, and let's say you are a viewer, you want to do something more, these are the people who know how to get to that next step. So you might not want to be a streamer, but that doesn't always mean that you don't want to do more on Twitch. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, this being one of them. So before we get into my questions, I'd like you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit, talk about maybe how long you've been in your particular roles, maybe go through, because this is going to be different for everybody, I feel, some of the things that you feel are your responsibilities as a community manager for the particular communities that you are in. I know that's a big question to start off with right away. So don't feel obligated to like go into every single little detail here. Yeah, I'm sure
right. I'm like, oh Jesus.
Will come in. You can give us just kind of an overview, however you want to go. Cap, let's start with you.
Hi, my name is Chris, or I go by CaptHowdy or Capt or whatever. Community manager for Pumpkinberry. Started off not even really considering anything beyond just being a viewer. I spent all day on Twitch just watching people and having a good time. And I was offered a mod position just kind of out of the blue by somebody who ended up becoming a very good friend of mine. And I thought, sure, why not? And it ended up being like the most fun I've ever had doing anything like ever, basically. And then just kind of progressing from there, networking and, through raids and hosts or whatever, eventually stumbling upon PB. And she needed a moderator one day for some people were like spoiling the story in chat or something, and there was nobody there. So I just whispered her and I said, hey, I'm just sitting at work, not doing anything. Like, do you need some help? And she was like, sure. And then she just forgot to unmod me, and it just kind of.
It's funny how often that happens.
That's so beautiful.
That's how I've gotten basically every mod slot I've ever had. But it ended up being like just the greatest thing. And we click, our brains kind of mesh well together. She can kind of pull like the more creative side out of me, and then I can bring my more, I guess sort of like cold and logical and just very observant side to her. And it's been great. Sorry, I kind of forgot the question and started rambling.
No, that's totally.
I hope I covered everything. Okay.
No, that's
perfect. Did I do
good? Perfect. Cool. Bun, how about you?
Okay, I'm Bun. My real name is Ruth Ann, or RA, or whatever. Bun usually. Wheathead also, because lots of people call me Bunhead Wheat. Anyway, I'm a community manager for Kyente, who is also my fiance. He has been streaming on Twitch since like December 2013, and I've been his person since then. I just stumbled into it because we were already dating. So,
I was going to say, how'd you get that position?
I need a mom. Yeah. Like, okay, cool.
To apply for that position.
Exactly. So then also I in I guess 2016, summer of 2016, I started working for ESL, which is the esports league, doing CSGO, PUBG, and Street Fighter for them. So then I also did community management-ish stuff and ran all their social media, which led to more social media jobs and freelancing social media, as well as community manager for Kyente and Twitch Winnipeg. So
that's awesome.
Everything.
Yeah, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
Todd.
Oh, me. It's my turn. Most of you guys know me. I'm Taudriel. You can call me Todd. I prefer that. I started community managing for you back in October, if I remember it correctly. So it's been about, I think so. It's about 5 months maybe.
Yeah.
And I decided to, around that time, to just take a step away from streaming. I was an affiliate at the time and I wasn't happy. And Rob kind of saved me and was like, hey, I need a community manager. Do you want to be that person? And that was really what I wanted. It was what I was looking forward to getting into with the whole streaming thing. Is what I wanted to do for somebody else. So it was perfect for me. And I would say we're still growing, you and I, our relationship and what I do. We talk every single day and my role changes probably every week. So
we're still figuring it out.
We're still, it's really fun. It's a great period, I think, where we're at with community managing and figuring out exactly how it works. Cause I think it's different for every couple of people. It's going to be different for everybody. So yeah, that's me. Hi guys.
It's weirder for Todd than anybody else because I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, disclaimer, like none of this is going to be weird passive aggression or
Yeah, we talked about it beforehand. we had to give each other disclaimers yesterday while we were talking. We were like, nothing I say is passive aggressive. I promise. Awesome. So I guess one of the first things that I want to ask is at what point, I mean, Bun, it sounds like you were kind of doing it professionally already, so this was like a natural transition for you. But for everybody, at what point did you decide that community managing is a thing that you wanted to do? Or even when you were becoming a viewer to a moderator, at what point were you like, okay, I like Twitch a lot, I would love to do more? And anybody feel free to step up to that one.
I remember I guess it was around 2015, 2014. We were still in our old apartment at that point. And I would go into streams and not be new and want to just help other chatters and want to help the streamer and whatever. And then I ended up getting mod in lots of channels. I know that you guys know Mop, Mergen Gergen, Mop Garden. I remember when I started watching her, there was one day when I was in her channel and I think she got a 4chan raid or it was some malicious raid and she was like, you fun, want to be mod. And then it just kind of spiraled from there where I was like, hey, I could help people. I feel at home here and I can help streamers that I like and spend time with. Yeah. And then, when I saw the job posting for ESL, that's the first time I actually took it seriously. Hey, I could work for communities. Everything else before that was just for the good of the community, wanting to volunteer and spend time, help people if I like.
So you were doing it on Twitch prior to considering it as a job? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was modding probably I'm gonna guess 35 channels before I got hired. Yeah,
that is crazy. Griff's doing his best to catch up. He's getting there. Anybody else? When was your moment that you're like, I want to do more than just be a viewer? I say just being a viewer. I don't put that down. That came out wrong. More involved than being a viewer.
I mean, like I said, it was something that really had never crossed my mind. When I first started watching Twitch, and a lot of people, like you guys and a lot of people watching didn't necessarily really know me when I first started watching Twitch. I was the hype guy. I was the guy going in entering the stream the second it starts, spamming their hype emotes and the love and the trying to get people excited. I was just it was just on from start to finish every day. And the idea of kind of going beyond that, it was interesting because even the concept of, I'll try not to go on too far of a tangent here, but even the concept of subscribing to a streamer, after I was introduced to Twitch, seeing that there was just mind blowing to me in the weirdest way. It was I'm literally sitting here for hours every single day, and you were providing me with entertainment, and a community of people to interact with for basically as long as I wanted. And that to me is worth so much more than like a movie or, buying a song or an album and anything like that. I was like, I can pay you for that. Like, that's amazing. Like, yes, let me do that. So having that kind of approach to kind of discovering new things about Twitch is probably why I jumped on the mod position so quickly. It was for Daniel the Demon, is the first person that modded me. And then, just kind of, and then from Daniel's stream, I was introduced to somebody named Faye Razzle, who was the second person who I started modding for. And Faye Razzle was like the first kind of like smaller stream that I watched, I guess, because everybody else before that was huge, like massive speedrunners with, like 12,000 people in the chats and stuff like that. So when I found Faye, it was much more like tight knit, there's, maybe back then, maybe like 15, 20, 30 people in chat at the very most. And like Bun, I was modded the day that he had a very awful 4chan raid. They flooded the chat, they flooded the Discord, which is the most like vile things you can imagine. And I was modded there, and he just never unmodded me. And then through Faye, stumbling onto PB as far as community management goes, I kind of got to a point where I ended up taking on so many different responsibilities, and nothing that you could really put under one umbrella. It was just basically whatever she needed, I would do. And it was just sort of a natural progression because, as I get older, I'm kind of trying to be more mindful of my time being valuable. And it's not a secret that like, this isn't something that I get paid for, so I kind of took a step back and I said, okay, well, if I'm gonna make sure that this is worth my time, as much as I like taking out the fact that I love it, and I love her and I love everybody over there. I needed a title, basically. I needed something to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. These are my responsibilities. What is this in the world of Twitch? And community manager kind of fell into that because it's always such an open-ended definition depending on what the person that you're working for needs.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was really just out of a need, a personal need to take it more seriously, I guess, give it a name, and that's like an important part of the process to me. So that's kind of
so
how
behavior dictated the role, and then the role was established through behavior. Kind of
yes, exactly,
cyclical.
exactly.
I got you.
100%.
Todd,
very nice. What was the question again?
Kind of when you decided you wanted.
I loved that.
No, when you decided you wanted to be, you wanted to contribute to streams more by getting into moderation and seeing.
Yeah. Okay.
Something more than being a viewer.
I think for me, it was being in a few people's chats, very similar to what they said. I just wanted to be helpful. I would find myself wanting to lurk just so I could kind of take in the streams, but 9 times out of 10 come out of lurk to help somebody else. So that's where it started for me. I believe I was first modded in Amanda the Jedi's stream. And I met her at TwitchCon, and her and I just had like connection on what we thought was good content. And it started that way. And then I kind of was doing the casting thing for a lot longer, and I wasn't able to focus on that, which I think is what took a lot of my happiness away. I didn't really want to be the face of something. I wanted to be behind something, which
Absolutely.
might be weird for some people, but I think, yeah, the panelists here could probably understand that. I want to be part of the production. I don't want to be the production, So I think that for me was probably the best thing. Just keeping me in Twitch too. Like I said, you saved me by asking me that, because I probably would have stepped away, which saddens me. But yeah, I've always wanted to help, and like I said, I've always wanted to be behind the scenes. So it was perfect. Perfect title.
As someone who is pushing to be a streamer, I don't understand that mentality at all. Like,
behind the scenes. I'm right there with you 100%. Yeah. Like, streaming is fun, but if I never did it again, like, I wouldn't really be upset about it,
Absolutely. For me, it's not
never something that I connected with.
Yeah, it's not for me when I'm streaming. It's not a business for me. That's me trying to connect with people that I love across the world. And I don't have any desire in making money off of that. And once I started making money, it was really like, oh, okay, I've got to wait. I've got to look at this in a real way and see if this is something I really want to dive into. So yeah.
I completely understand wanting to be behind the scenes. Like even in high school, actually, Kyente and I met in musical theater in high school, and I was I was on stage with him the year that we met, and then the following year I switched to stage management. So then I was his stage manager for the rest of high school, and he was like the lead actor in blah 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 or whatever. It's just like funny that it continued.
Love that.
It just never
I love
stopped.
that.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yep.
One of the things, I guess, because we're talking about not only managing but also moderating, and I believe a question similar to this was asked as well. I'm wondering what it is that you feel are the traits of a good moderator to have in chat, because most people that are CMs started off in that role, and there is kind of like a progression up to that point. And the thing that I know about you guys too, because I've seen you all in other chats as well, even if you're not a moderator in that chat, I see you fall into the roles anyway, because it's such habit. So like when Cap's in here hanging out and someone asks a question, he's like, boom, like so fast, just because like that's your go-to behavior. So what would be like the kind of key things if someone was looking to be a moderator? What should they focus on?
I would say they need to be very perceptive. They need to basically be able to predict things before they happen. To me, that would be the most ideal kind of skill to have, to be able to read a room very well. You know, because you don't ever want to be surprised by anything. You know, you want to be able to kind of keep track in your head of like behavioral patterns, and, you know, well, if this is kind of the way that they're introducing themselves, if it's somebody new, or, you know, if it's not somebody new, like if they are kind of like trying to test the waters to see how much they can get away with because they've been there a long time, and, you know, they think that gives them a license to sort of act inappropriately. You need to be able to kind of pick up on that before it happens. And at the same time, you need to be able to kind of see both sides of the coin, because it is also very valid for someone to say, I've spent a year watching you almost every day. You know, I think there's some sort of camaraderie here, and you know, I'm not necessarily doing anything malicious sort of thing, because that could entirely be the case, and that's fine. But either way, you have to be able to make sure to protect the rest of chat from that, from whether it, you know, becomes behavior that other people pick up on and maybe start to participate in. You know what I mean? So that's to me, that's kind of just that's the most important thing.
It's like the mentality of a lifeguard is like,
yeah, oh my God,
you're there to watch the pool, but like you have to look for that kid that you know is going to start running on the pool deck any second, and just be ready before it actually happens. Be like,
exactly, 100%.
I would totally agree with that. Also, like, keep it light. Like, I think people come to Twitch to like let go and relax and be entertained and like whatever. And you know that there's always those chatters that are going to be like, my day sucked, and I'm going to tell you why in 40 chat lines. And you're like, let's change the subject. So that I'd say keep it light, and also everything that Captain said for sure.
Yeah, I would reflect both of those statements. Also, like, be very aware of your position in the community and how you set the tone. I think a lot of what really good moderators do is they set a really positive, or they should set a really positive tone for the chat. Because something that you and I have talked about, Rob, is chat can be at times a sideshow for the actual show itself, and that can be great and that can be awful. So you have to really be aware of how you're making other people feel with that sword next to your name as well. Because I've been in channels where I've not felt super welcomed by a moderator and didn't return for that reason. So it's also just be aware, attentive, and aware of what you're doing and saying.
Yeah, there are absolutely, having that sword next to your name makes you somebody who chat looks at to model the proper behavior for that chat. So if a moderator goes off the rails at all or starts like engaging in the sideshow, as you mentioned, then all of a sudden it's something that, okay, this is the way we're going, let's go, woo, follow the moderator, follow the sword.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So a whole bunch of questions are already in here. I had a ton of stuff too. But I do want to tackle some of these, and some of these actually line up with some of the stuff that I was going to ask anyway. One of the things is how much time do you dedicate to being a CM? Because I think a lot of people want the title, but then if they actually saw the responsibility, they would get out as fast as they could.
Yeah, a lot of time. A lot. I don't even know how to put a number on it because it's just like, oh yeah, you need this video made. Okay, well I'll help you edit the video and like I'll make this content for Twitter. And oh yeah, like I went through your VOD and made GIFs and whatever. And like it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're helping, right? But if I was to add up that number, like it's a lot of time. It's
literally like from when I wake up to when I go to bed, like if I need to do something and there's something to be done, then, if I have time to do it, I'll do it. And thankfully my day job provides a lot of downtime, and my boss will sit behind me and play Hearthstone all day. So like me being on Twitch or something like that is not a big deal, as long as the rest of the stuff is done too. So yeah, I mean, it's basically like an on-call sort of position, I guess.
Absolutely. I agree with all of that. I usually wake up and it's just a part of my routine. Like my Rob stuff, my Geek Gen stuff, it gets mixed in with all of my other duties of the day, which is great. I think it works fine that way.
It is weird to think about it like that because like Cap was saying, like there's not necessarily compensation for a role like this. It's something you do out of both enjoyment and kind of love of the community. And I know I'm the only caster here, so I'm the only one that can actually thank you all collectively for the time that you put into doing it, because I know how demanding it is. You guys also know how much time it is being a caster. So a lot of that, like we get a lot of the credit for a lot of the things that you do. And does that ever weigh on you as a CM? Do you ever go, I mean, I think most casters are very like publicly thankful of their community managers, but at the same time, there might be times where you're like, I wish I had gotten a little more credit there or anything like that.
I know for like Kyente and for other casters, like Twitch streamers that I do stuff for, I never like want credit. I like would rather them like not say that I made something or whatever. Like I just like, okay, cool, you take it, whatever. But I do know with ESL that I've made a few like memes or like really funny things that have gone viral, and I'm like, that's me. But it was like, under the ESL name, but I'm like, damn it, that's me. But like, yeah, no, with like Twitch streamers, I'm like, no, that's yours. I made it for you. Don't look at me.
I think you definitely kind of accept being more of a behind the scenes person. That's not really something that's going to come your way. I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing to want that every once in a while, because you should have recognition for the work that you do.
I agree. Yeah.
But in comparing it to the caster, at least from my own personal point of view, that to me is so much more difficult than what I do. Like streaming is hard. It's really hard. So like, I don't necessarily, put any sort of weight on the amount of like thanks I get or don't get. Like I like being able to sit back and see everybody enjoy themselves and see things work the way that they should, you know what I mean? And like that's what I get, and that's what makes me warm and that's what makes me happy. So like it's not necessarily something that I worry about.
Yeah, I don't need credit, and I'm lucky to work with a community that gives me too much credit. So I've never
too much, please.
Like the casters are always so like thankful that you're, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working for a caster that, you commit to doing something like this with, obviously you're probably friendly with each other, probably fairly close, I would imagine. And like, you don't need that because that they're thankful.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're thankful for them,
and yeah, that's, I guess we're all just fortunate. Yeah, fortunate in that one way. I've never felt that I needed it, I guess.
I can't see ever agreeing to be a community manager for somebody who you like weren't necessarily on some sort of connected level with anyway.
Yeah, like on Captain's point, it's like, if I get so much enjoyment out of your show and I feel like I need your show to get through the day and your community has helped me, why would I not want to help you? Right? I don't want credit. I just want to help you because I want your show to run smoothly so that you can keep doing it so I can keep watching. Right? I guess it's like a good
that loop of happiness.
Yeah. Totally.
I guess then, so for one of the things that I did want to bring up too is for people that are looking to get into that moderation role, we had said that some of the traits they're looking for. One of the things that most people know is kind of against Twitch etiquette is to be in a chat and be like, please mod me, or beg to be a mod. It's not super often, I think, that casters are like, hey, I'm looking for a new mod, and put it out there. If someone is looking to get a position like that in a particular community or just in general, do you have any recommendations or advice for what they should do?
Be helpful. For sure. Like, I know for Kyente and I, like, when we look for mods, we never say like, yo guys, we're looking for mods. We just watch our chat and see like, oh, this person is always helpful, seems pretty upbeat, they're always in the channel, they're like in the Discord and they're not shit talking and they represent our community. Okay, cool. Right? So like, be helpful. Someone has a question they want to answer. Someone screws up a command, they show the right command. Like, just like, be helpful. Act like how you would if you were a mod. Show the caster that you would make a good mod. Dress for the position for the job you want.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Be that without needing the title already. And also, I think it's important for casters to know when they need them. Sometimes you don't need 10 mods for a 30 viewer stream. Mm-hmm. So also that too.
Yeah, I know when we were to go behind the scenes a little bit, when we were looking to expand our mod team, we talked about, should we ask and see if people are interested, and it didn't become that. It was, let's look at who's already here and who's already behaving like a mod, and that's when we expanded that way. Although I will say, one of our earliest mods was modded as a joke, and actually took to the position and was like not even super familiar with Twitch, but then was like, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to do this because I'm a mod. And so has actually been pretty damn good at it. So you never know like who's going to step up sometimes, which is really interesting. But so this is another question from the chat. Is being a CM what you thought it would be? Or how is it different than you expected it would be?
I would say it's definitely a lot more broad than I expected, is really the only thing. I didn't necessarily expect to be sitting here saying, oh, maybe I should learn After Effects for PV. You know what I mean? I never really thought that it would go beyond just like, tweeting and like sending out emails and stuff like that when she needs, just like smaller stuff. But as the responsibilities and the things that I was asked to do, or the things that I offer to do, just kind of went from all grouped in this one little bubble to like, oh, now this thing that you're going to do is over here, and this one's all the way over here. You know what I mean? So that was really just the biggest surprise for me. It's certainly not a bad thing, but it's just it ended up being very interesting in terms of my expectations versus what I'm actually doing.
Totally. I hear so many people say like, oh yeah, I really want to go into community management. I don't want to be a streamer, or my streaming career isn't successful, but I want to be a community manager. And I'm like, do you know what a community manager is? Especially like if I see their personality and I think that it wouldn't like mesh with being, helpful to someone else other than themselves, maybe. It's like, are you sure? You gotta put that other thing, like, that is your goal. You want them to succeed, right? At the cost of your sleep and whatever.
And I think almost if you have an idea what a community manager, like what that is defined as, that's maybe not a good thing because it changes so often. And I think it's changed even just my idea of what you and I were going to be, Rob. It's changed for the better in so many great ways. So if you have this idea that I'm going to be this like person for this stream, maybe that's not a great thing because it's almost like you have to create it when you get into it.
Yeah, because like your role definitely started off as like the super mod, like head moderator, and it has shifted into also being a creative as well. So like Todd does her own show on the stream now too, because that was something she was interested in doing. I mean, having the caster background. So it's a way, I think, I mean, for both casters and community managers, and Cap, I think you kind of mentioned this earlier too, is that you have to look at what each person's strengths and weaknesses are, and the responsibilities get delegated out in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So if there are certain things that one person is really good at, or the other person is not quite as good, I am horrible at delegating, so Todd has to rip tasks out of my hand. She literally does. But again, that we have the kind of relationship where she's not afraid to be like, okay, I want to do that thing. Like, okay. And sometimes she has to tell me 3 or 4 times, but she'll eventually take it. But yeah, that's just kind of figuring out your groove and like what strengths each person does have definitely makes things a lot easier. Then kind of in the same vein, what's your favorite thing about being a CM?
Wow.
I know that's a really hard question. Anytime you say favorite, it's like, oh shit, there's so much pressure on that. So I won't limit it to just favorite. I'll say what are the things that you like the most? How about that about being a CM? So you have some flexibility there.
I love seeing the content creators that I support and believe in succeed. That is, I assume, like, I guess that's my favorite. And then personally favorite would be that I've been kind of like forced / challenged to learn things like Adobe Premiere and Photoshop and things that I don't think I would have ever cared to learn, but then it was needed. So I learned them, and now I'm really thankful for that because now I have skills that I didn't have at the beginning of it. So those are my favorites.
Literally, like, check all the boxes, honestly. Like, it's you always have an opportunity to learn something new, and you get to see however many people enjoy it every single day, and you get to see this person that you're working for be able to express themselves creatively, and do that to a point where they're happy with what they're doing. And that's just, and for somebody who is, I would consider a streamer an artist, in a sense. It's no different than any other sort of thing. So for you to be able to see them enjoy their work, and kind of knowing that, you were sitting back there and helping it happen, it's just like, you can't describe that feeling. The feeling that I get from seeing that is the same feeling that she gets when seeing her work executed, like she envisioned it. And it's amazing.
I totally agree. I think it's being able to see, and it's also about seeing someone's potential and making sure that they live up to it. Especially in such a creative world, such as streaming, where we are all, I think, really vulnerable. And it is really hard to grind, and being able to see someone sweating and pat them on the back and tell them that they're doing a great job. Because I think a lot of it too is the whole collaboration part. It makes you stronger. It makes you have a stronger brand, a stronger presence, better content anytime you're able to have somebody else with you. I see a lot of streamers that are doing it by themselves, and I always wonder, like, man, you're doing so great, but I wonder if you had somebody next to you to kind of remind you regularly how great you're doing, and that you're not doing it alone. Because I think that coming from casting, immediately working with you, that was my first thought. I was like, wow, this is such a different experience, not having to do it all alone. So yeah, watching it be great for you and seeing you get happy, but also knowing that I'm like representing that part of the collaboration is really nice.
How often do you guys feel like you fall in the role of cheerleader?
Always.
I'm more of a SaaS leader.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying go PB go, but I'm saying, oh well, it's fine if you don't do that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, that's a part of it. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, in addition to the work you guys do, I
mm.
know there is a portion of your role that ends up being like the shoulder. That like, because when I am having a difficult thing with something, it's always right to Todd. Like that's
and we'll talk, and I'll ask all the questions, even if they're not necessary. And yeah, it's how I want to work with people.
Absolutely.
Bun, there's a question here right for you. How did you go about approaching or applying for ESL? Was that a scary process, and how did you prepare for all of that?
It was scary. So it was in 2016. I had a concussion and I couldn't drive yet. I wasn't cleared to drive, so I couldn't work. So I wasn't making any money because I had a concussion. So I felt like I was healed enough to work, but not healed enough to do my job, which was healthcare aid. So I was like, I'm going to find a job online. Dun, 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 dun. And went to it was like a gaming forum job posting thing, and it was like social media management, must be like really knowledgeable about CSGO, have a lot of hours, understand the game, watch pro play, understand memes and the difference between a dank meme and a regular meme. And I was like, hey, that sounds like someone I know. So I applied, and they did a Skype interview with me and seemed to like me. And then they did a second Skype interview with me. And then I think on the third interview, I got the job, but it was me and one other guy were doing the same job. And then he quit. So then I convinced them to give me his salary also, and I would do both of our jobs. They're like, okay. And then about 6 months later, they realized that my boss, like my direct superior, was only overseeing me, and I was really self-sufficient. So they eliminated his job and promoted me. And then by the end, of last summer, I was then the head of North America for remote. I think I was the highest ranked North America remote person. And that, which is great. And then I actually left them, in December. I put in my resignation, but now I have enough credits that I can freelance social media. So I work for I've done ESL obviously and IEM and Beyond the Summit, the CS tournament that was last weekend. All the social media was me.
Great job.
Was it scary?
Wow.
But you can do it if you believe in your memes.
Did you have any mental blocks during that process that you had to kind of push yourself through?
I have been blessed with the confidence of a successful white man. So,
all right.
No, you just have to tell yourself that you got this, and when you start to doubt yourself, you're like, no, shut up, brain.
I am a white man.
Yeah,
that's great. I love that.
Yep. Yeah. No, you just got to
quote that for me, please.
But yeah, no, if you want to get into something and you feel oh, I might be underqualified, or I feel they're asking for 3 years experience and I have 2. It's talk yourself up. You got this. You don't need that extra year. Prove your worth, right? Talk yourself up.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you got this.
Absolutely.
I believe in you, chat.
Todd, question for you.
Ooh.
You are an amazing caster. What helped you realize that casting wasn't what you wanted?
I'm a medium
Look at that
caster.
face.
I would say I'm very medium. I don't know about amazing.
I'm reading the questions as they are. I agree with it.
My ego. No, I think for me, a lot of my struggles in life have been this. It's been I've always wanted to be, like we said earlier, behind the scenes. It's kind of what you said, Bun, is you were stage managing and Kyente was on stage. I was doing both as well. Through college, I went to school for acting and I was doing acting, but I was also stage managing shows.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Well, I was doing, I was actually going on an acting track. I should have been a techie, but I've always kind of struggled with both of those sides of myself. I like to be myself, and I also like to be behind the scenes. I think why I stepped away from casting is, like I said earlier, I just didn't want it to be a business. I still cast, I still do things when I really, really want to, but it's really more about sharing it with the people and less about worrying about the subs and the views and making sure that it's appropriate. And it's more about sharing the experience for me. So yeah, I think that's why it was easy for me to say, you know what, this isn't something that I want to take and get sponsored with and make it grow. I'd rather help somebody else do that. It makes it feel more meaningful for me. I feel like an imposter if I'm doing it myself.
I think everyone has a little bit of imposter syndrome, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That just comes with being any kind of performer, entertainer, or anything. You get that, like, oh, I don't know if that's the voice. It literally sounds like that, just in the back of your head. That's the voice. How do you guys manage the stress of being a CM over being a mod, because you have so many more responsibilities, whether it be time management or just kind of the stress of feeling like you have so much to juggle?
I think that before things got serious between me and PB,
before you guys were going steady,
I neglected my personal life a lot more, because I was like, there's like, some stuff happening over there that's like hard to deal with, and I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just going to take that and push it over there. It's fine. I got time. I can mess with that later. And I can't do that anymore. And it kind of just like I've kind of had to retrain myself and how extreme I react to things, I guess. If that makes any sense at all. I don't know. So I mean, having to kind of go through that process has, I'm certainly not where I would like to be yet. But I absolutely have a more level head on my shoulders, just as far as being able to naturally manage my stress go. It's being able to look at something and say, okay, well, I can worry about this, or I can take, these are the possible outcomes. This is the one that's most likely to happen. If this happens instead, then this is what happens. And that's literally it. There's no point in thinking about it anymore, because that's all that can happen, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's helped me to really get in that habit. And that's been amazing, and probably the best tool that I have.
Yeah, I want to talk on that too, because I think one of the strongest things I've learned from this position, because Rob, you always like to talk about how we don't receive compensation, and I would challenge that. I think I gain something from this position daily, just an experience and learning about myself and the people that I'm getting to work with. I think it's beyond what you could pay me, quote unquote. But yeah, I've learned a lot of what I'm bad at. I think that's the first few months. That's what I did, is I was like, okay, I'm not good at this. And I think a lot of this position is reflective in my actual professional life too. I do a lot of the things in my actual job that I do for you too. But it's made me learn, like, okay, you're not very good at this, so we need to maybe find somebody that is, and learn that even if you do need to delegate, and even if you do think you can do it the best, you don't have to be the one that does it every time. So that's, yeah.
That's very difficult sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I find it difficult too. I am, and this is probably why Todd has to rip things out of my hands, is because I am a want to do everything myself. And she's also stepping into a position. We've been doing this for 5 months. I've been doing this, not streaming, but running my brand for 8 years by myself. So it's challenging for anybody to step in and be like, hey, it's not just you anymore. Let's let's take some stuff off your plate. Let's delegate. And on that note, I want to talk a little bit for anybody who is watching live or later or in chat right now, whether they be a moderator, a CM, or a caster. I do want to kind of step behind the curtain a little bit and talk tech a little bit, because I know that everyone has different tools and things that they use for communication, for organization. And I'd love to know what types of things you guys use for accomplishing those goals. What do you do to communicate? What do you use to kind of help you stay organized?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, I live in, Google Docs and Drive and Calendar and Discord, and that's honestly been really enough. Discord is mainly for communication, and the calendar is kind of the best thing because I can add something on there and I can hit a button and it'll send her an invite and she can just hit yes or no right there, and it kind of takes a lot of having to like send her a question, wait for an answer, just like little things like that. But I wouldn't say that we really have anything that's like too advanced, or anything like that. We try to keep it pretty simple and it works.
Kyente and I live together, and I have a calendar nailed to our wall that I write everything on because I'm old school. And if I put it in my phone, I don't trust that I'm going to remember it or that it's going to alert me. So I just literally write it on the physical calendar on the wall. So I find that easy to remember what I'm doing. But also like Google Drive, obviously, for like sending files back and forth. And Discord is a blessing because often like I'll be playing CS and he's like working in here, and then he'll like Discord message me because like our apartment, my office is in our living room on the other side of our apartment, and then he's like around the corner down the hall in a room. So I'll be like, babe, and I'm like, babe, we can't hear each other, so Discord's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about you, Todd? Do you use?
Oh yeah, him and we use, I think, something that's really beneficial, but I think it's also because we have so many just shows and panels and future things that we are trying to put together, and a lot of like later in the future ideas that we have.
Our collabs and all that stuff is a task in itself.
And with that comes a lot of like, because I'm very tactile as well, but I like to write things down. It's a part of my like memory. But we use Meister Task. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. Rob actually introduced this to me. And he basically, if we discuss, because we meet up every week, we talk every day, but we also meet up every week and we discuss, ideas that we've had and what we're going to do for future stuff. And anything that's as small as like, I want to make a mug that has, this logo on it, to as big as I want to have this future talk show. And I want you to work on a specific part of this talk show. We're able to track it, and he can see, what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. And it's really nice. Because then he'll say, hey, I saw you were working on that thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
For me, I'm not necessarily a micromanager, but at the same time, I and PB was kind of talking about this in chat a little bit too, that when you do something alone for so long, it's really hard to build up that level of trust with somebody in that it's going to get done. So like if I didn't have those organizational tools, I would feel like, even though I'm remembering, I have no way to know that someone else remembers. I can't see in somebody else's brain. But if I know that we have a collective thing where we can write it down, it just helps build that level of trust so much faster, because we both are working off of the same almost digital brain at the same time.
Yep.
Totally. And like, I feel like streamers, you're your brand, right? So like, I know, like you were saying, Todd has to pry things out, and I saw PB said like same thing, Captain has to pry things out of her hands too. And I know for a fact, like with Kyente, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna work on this, and he's like, no, I'm doing that, and I'm like, no, but you're doing like this and this, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna do it all. I'm like, no, you're not.
It sounds so familiar.
Actually, no, you're not.
Yeah, let me help you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's absolutely a great way to keep the responsibility, like where we agreed at the first part. And also, like I said, it goes back to me like knowing what parts are really good that I can do and what parts that he's better at. We're able to separate that digitally. It's cool.
Totally.
Some of this stuff is stuff we've talked about. This one I'm not sure I fully understand, so if the person's in chat, maybe they can help clarify. How do you keep your caster on track, especially when they're seriously engrossed in the activity that they're doing, and there's an agreed deadline or milestone that you need to achieve for that session? So I assume what that means is there's something that you're trying to achieve by the end of a given stream. How do you keep someone on that?
I mean, I know that in the past, like I've whispered a caster, like if they're doing a promo thing, and I know what the guidelines are for a couple different casters I've done it where I like will whisper them being like, Yoda, did you say this talking point yet? Or like mention blah 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like remember to thank whoever for something. So whispers are great for that actually, because you can like get your thought to the caster really fast.
I mean, it's kind of even though I know that she knows what to do, like it's just that little like, just in case, you know. And I mean, as long as, you know, it's, you talk to them like they assume they don't know what they're doing, even though you know that they know what they're doing. Just so there's literally like that like second insurance right there. That's like, okay, well, if she does forget, it's literally right in front of her face, like right over here, you know, and then it's covered. It's just about covering your ass, really. That's what it boils down to. I think that if something like that was an actual problem, like to the point where things weren't going the way that they should, or whatever the case may be, then, you know, that's a much larger discussion.
There's a follow-up question there.
Oh God.
Does the caster ever deliberately ignore the CM? And in that case, then what do you do?
That's a loaded question. Like, how am I supposed to know if I'm deliberately ignored? Unless they say I deliberately ignored you, which I don't think has ever happened.
Yeah. And like, I think part of being, once you're CM, you probably got the job because you're intuitive and you understand what they want. And you know if you're not going to get your way. So you just shut up about it. I think you don't, I don't know. If I'm trying to get to the caster, like, oh, remember to do this. I think I would only like be telling them that if I thought they forgot. And yeah, I don't think it would be an issue, because I don't think I've ever been deliberately ignored by
Yeah, that sounds like that might be a bigger issue that might need to just be talked about.
Yeah.
If you're just not communicating with each other, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see ignoring something in the moment because it would like stop the flow or whatever, and be like, well, I took that note in my brain, and then we talked about it after the stream.
Yeah.
And here's the reason that I didn't address it at the time. Like that's yeah. I think that's all part of that built relationship, that you kind of like, you know, each other well enough to be like, probably saw it, doing what they're doing, and that's fine, whatever.
Pick up on like their facial reactions too, you know, like, you know, if PB's making this face, I know that she's reading exactly what I just sent her, you know. Or if I see somebody say something in chat and I look at her face like 7 seconds later and I see like those looks, you again, you have to be very perceptive. You have to be able to pick up on these things. And once you do that, I don't want to say it's easy, but like, it's just, there's a flow, you know, it's smooth and it doesn't feel difficult.
What would you say you guys do? Because there is not just the management part of it, but also the community part of it. What would you do, say that you do to foster community? And because I know a large part of your job as well is to be another person that the community can go to when the caster is not around. So what would you say that you do, not only to like be kind of another face of the community in a way, but also to encourage new people and bringing in and expanding, and I guess even networking in a way too, all that stuff?
Be welcoming, like be light, be yourself, be fun, be someone that you would want. Like, okay, when I go into a community, I look for like fun people, right? So then I want to be that for my communities, right? Because I want to be the person that I would be looking for in a friend in a new community, right? So yeah, just be like that, lighthearted, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, you know, you extend as many invitations as you can, you know, like, oh, well, this person's coming in on a day where we're playing Elite Dangerous. Like, hey, do you play Elite too? You know, hey, we have a Discord. Hey, you know, there are people flying, you know, all day long over there. So it's just as long as you're being positive and being, sort of presentable and being friendly, and just kind of having conversation with them, figuring out what they like, and, finding ways to take bits of your community and apply it to their interests. And then it's kind of natural from there. If they have a good time, they're going to want to come back, and it's a pretty solid way to do what you can to make that happen.
Totally.
Do you feel even when, because I know you're all on Twitch because you're fans of Twitch in general, do you ever feel an increased responsibility now when you're out and just watching other streams that I'm not just a viewer anymore? Some people are going to know like what my role is in this other place, and that weight is following me around now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like yeah, definitely. Like, that someone in the chat might know who you are because you're now representing the brand of like these other streamers who you've attached your name to, right? Like, I am a CM and engaged to Kyente, but also one of my best friends is Mob. So I feel like I represent them. If someone sees me in another chat and they remember me from one of their chat rooms, like, I want to represent their brand well. So I want to be, I would be welcoming and nice anyway. It's not like any of my memes are ever mean, but like, you're definitely, if your name is attached to it, your name is also attached to them, and you never want to like make them look bad. So you're aware of it, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
Yeah. Todd, do you feel that way now that you're like CM for Geek?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's something that I realized quite immediately after getting that and realizing, and I think that's just when any mod, even if it's not me, just if I see them outside of their stream and they're acting differently, it will take me aback, and I'll kind of see them differently. So I think it's important to hold on to that representation wherever you go. And I don't think that means you have to behave a particular way. It's just being aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I know for myself, like I've seen a mod be a dick in a channel, but in a different channel, right? Like maybe they don't know that I can see them because we're in a different chat room, but I know that they mod for this person, and I'm like, does this person condone that?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, be aware of, just don't be a dick. That's just
it's an overarching rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yep.
As both mods and CMs, what would you say is the hardest task that a mod has, and what could a streamer do to make it easier on their mods?
Oh man, I feel like personally, I take a lot of responsibility for not letting the streamer see chat that would upset them.
God.
That makes sense. Like I take a lot of personal responsibility for that. So then, yeah, I don't think that the streamer can make that better. If there's like a troll or something, or someone says shit, or a regular is being passive aggressive or whatever, I do like take it on myself to try to change the subject or make sure they get timed out fast or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't think there's a way that you can make that better. Just chat stuff. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, pretty much. It's always going to boil down to that. I think something I've noticed, and this isn't something I think you and I have had trouble with, Rob, but I've seen it in other streams, is when the moderators aren't in alignment with the rules. Like when the casters might change the rules up on you immediately, or maybe just because it is a particular situation and they don't think that that rule applies to the situation. I can see it making things sour really quick, and it makes things awkward as a viewer. So making sure that everybody's on the same page with the moderation rules is always something that I think is important, that a caster can actively do.
Absolutely. The only other thing that I would say that I've experienced before is I understand that it's important for the caster to know like why somebody is purged or timed out or whatever the case may be. But it's always bothered me just as a moderator. And something that the caster could do to make my life easier as a moderator is to maybe not click through and read those deleted messages.
I was just gonna say yes. Agreed. Like I'm trying to save your mood here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just that's been the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, because now that once I do go back to casting and somebody has deleted the message, I purposefully don't read it for that reason. So yeah, I trust you. I'm not going to read it. This is going to make me angry.
Or it's like a spoiler for a game or something like that.
Yeah.
Either way, like
yeah.
Just trust me. You don't want to say it.
Absolutely that. I mean, I would say one of the best things to do is make your expectations as clear as possible, not only for your viewers, but also your moderators. So one of the things that was super helpful for me as I was starting to slowly grow my channel is a group of casters that would all meet every now and then, and we would talk about like what we're doing behind the scenes and helping each other grow and stuff like that. And one of the things that we had kind of developed or looked at was a set of expectations for moderators, and they're clearly written and they're clearly listed, and like these are the things that we all need to be on the same page about. We never argue in front of chat. Like always hold on to that stuff. If a tone is set, follow the tone. If the caster goes a certain way, go with the caster, and then you can hash those things outward. But you don't want mommy and daddy fighting in front of you at any point. So that's just good stuff to have. And then if you have a channel where you can keep that communication going, I know a lot of people keep a moderator channel in their Discords, and that's a really nice place to be like, I saw this behavior here. I don't know if others are aware of it, or if we've started doing anything about it, because not every moderator can be in every stream at every minute. Just doesn't happen. It's not realistic. That's a crazy expectation. But if there's a place where people can kind of catch up on the goings on of the previous streams and things like that, and if there are any problems that arose, everyone needs to be aware of them, and just kind of that communication.
Yeah, mod Discord is super important. I would say definitely, because just like you said, like people work and people have to go grocery shopping and whatever, and they probably missed part of your stream, right? And so it's important to have a spot where they can go and like look back and be like, oh, did anything of like anything really negative or any rules change or whatever. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
How do you deal with difficult members of the community when it's not a bannable offense?
That's too subjective, it's
very subjective.
It's subjective, and it boils down to how the caster prefers to have their channel moderated in the first place. I've modded for people who prefer for me to call somebody out in open chat, say, hey, don't do this, and here's why, you know what I mean? Just so everybody else can, they see it as a tool, so everybody else can see what happened. They know not to do it. And I also have modded for people who don't want any of that whatsoever. Like, you keep it out of chat, you send them a whisper. And as far as, how to deal with them, to me, it just depends on what the offense is, really. But you have channel rules for a reason. That's why channel rules are important, and it's important to have these things defined. So like people understand that nobody's immune. If you've been there for 30 years, you suddenly start making a stink. Like, I would probably, make sure that I made a valid effort to like figure out what was going on. If there was like some reason where I thought that they were behaving in a way where they wouldn't normally behave. But really, other than that, it just depends.
I think the best thing that we do is we just discuss it. We usually don't, unless it's so bad that we need to address it immediately on stream, we do. But if it's something that we think, we've all come across it too, where it might be making chat a little bit more toxic, but it's not necessarily something you would ban someone over. It's just good to discuss maybe after stream and say, hey, let's watch out for this. Maybe they had a bad day.
Yeah.
I think it's totally like what Captain said. It's circumstantial and subjective depending upon what exactly is going on.
And people who are regulars definitely get way more slack than people who just pop in for the first time.
Yeah.
Because that they're pretty much a member of the community at that point. Like you said, people have bad days. Sometimes people like just fly off the handle, but you know, like, wait, that was out of character. So like, you don't just straight up ban that person. And the only problem with that is that sometimes new people see that as okay behavior. So you have to kind of address that sometimes too and be like, are you, like, even if you just ask them outwardly, are you all right today? Like, what's, you cool?
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to making sure that your moderators are in alignment with what you believe as something that needs to be addressed. Making sure that everybody's on the same page, it makes it easier to know when to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. It's hard though, because like if someone is constantly like bringing the mood down, but it's not actually bannable, they're not like saying racist shit. They're not like whatever, but just they always complain or something. Like, I don't know. I found it best to have either the streamer or myself or one of the mods just whisper them and be like, yo, this isn't okay. I hope that you're doing okay, but like this isn't the place. And then kind of deal with it that way. It usually works in my experience. Or they freak out on you and then they leave. So
and either way, problem's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And it's in the whispers. It's not happening in front of the community kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This one, I think, I don't know if this is too similar to what we asked before, but what would be your favorite memory so far of being a CM? I don't know if that's kind of like your favorite part of it, or if there's like a specific thing that happened that you were just like, yes.
Go ahead.
Mine was Kyente had an official Twitch meet and greet at TwitchCon this past year, and that was like my highlight. That was dope as fuck. Really
I would say, even though I don't think I was technically a CM yet, I was doing all the CM things. We just hadn't really like put a stamp on it yet. It was when PB got partnered. Really, it was probably.
You weren't technically a CM then? What?
I don't think so. I don't think I had the title yet. I could be wrong, honestly.
No,
like I was already pretty much there,
right.
but I don't think I actually had the title yet. No. And that was dope. That was awesome.
Yeah. I think for me, it was the first few months we did so much. But the Secret Santa, thing that we did, I had no idea what to expect for it. And I think with that, I was so happy. Because the community, it really showed me what you can do as a CM with your communities and how you can bring them together in a really awesome way. And that was for sure. I loved that stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the response would be. Because sometimes you throw out a new idea and it just doesn't stick, or you get really excited about it and then the community is just like, yeah. But yeah, the Secret Santa thing was pretty awesome. We had a really great response for that and everyone was really excited. Yeah, so many things. Let's see, as the CM for the casters group and the family, how do you go about fostering the junior, quote unquote, junior mods, or dealing with any problem behavior with them? I think that goes a little in line with what we were just kind of talking about. I mean, people shouldn't necessarily look at moderators and CMs as disciplinarians, I don't think. Because that sword, I know it's a sword, but they're not attackers.
Right.
So I'm not sure that's even the right icon they should be using. Let me.
Well, I think it's also dependent upon whose stream it is too. I think there are really welcoming streams, and then there are some it's a little bit harder to be casual.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said earlier, mod Discord is somewhere where all the mods can kind of get on the same page as the broadcaster.
Yeah.
And I think it's important if you're a moderator and you disagree with something that the caster is doing to express that. To kind of have that discussion with them, whether it be with the community manager first or straight to the caster. So you don't want things to build up and be weird. Yeah, totally. Always, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's not limited to CMing.
Yeah.
That's a life thing.
Right.
We've been focused kind of on like when we were talking about delegating, like I think the perception felt like it was very, here are the tasks, get them done type thing. But I know that a big part of it is also on you creatively. So like what kind of things do you get to do creatively that you enjoy that you might not have the opportunity to do outside of being a community manager? And do you get as much creative input as you'd like to?
I love making stupid GIFs, and I love going through VODs and like, oh, I know that this person made this funny face at this time. I'm gonna get home from work. I like clipped it in advance. I like get home, make the GIF.
Remember the time.
Yeah.
I would say, I think for me, the best part about that side of things for me is I can kind of dip my toes in it as much as I want, really. But I don't necessarily consider myself like a super creative person. So for me, where my creativity comes into play is like an extension of hers. You know, she can have this base idea, and then I'm good at taking this and saying, well, what if we had this, and this, and this, and we take this part and we move it up here, you know? And so it's generally where I get to be the most creative is sort of expanding and improving on most of the ideas that she comes up with, really.
Agreed. It's a lot about looking at what we think would be great and trying to enhance that.
On that same note, what's kind of discouraging about putting that creative stuff out there when it like doesn't land the way you wanted it to?
Oh man, it's so hard when like chat, like you do something weird and like, or like the streamer is doing something weird and like they're putting themselves out there and they have this brilliant idea that you think is hilarious, and then the chat is like, what the are you doing?
Like, what is wrong with you, chat? This is hilarious. Yeah. But I think that's just a part of the game. That's a part of the whole entire, like, putting yourself on the internet live in front of people to play a weird game. Not everything's going to stick, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's totally. You got to be like your biggest fan. I think that's also part of, like, Geeky said earlier, you were like, you're a cheerleader, right? Like we're cheerleaders. I think that's totally that. It's like, well, I thought it was funny, honey. I think you're hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's funny the things that people do find funny, because often when I'm trying to joke around, it's like just not landing. And then as soon as I'm like, well, whatever, and the people are like, ha ha ha, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I wasn't doing anything. I don't know. I'll never understand anything. That's what I'm slowly realizing.
That's what makes you great.
Yeah, my oblivious nature. As a CM, what opportunities do you look out for on behalf of your caster?
New games to play. You know, that's one of the biggest things. New casters that they might enjoy, whether they end up just watching, or if, you know, they're able to introduce themselves and maybe make something cool happen together. And you know, just new business opportunities. You know, if there's like, if, you know, she comes to me and says, hey, like, I bought this pair of headphones and it's dope, and they're like the best headphones I've ever used. I'm like, okay, what brand are they? You know, and then if there's something there, take that information and kind of try to run with it and see what happens.
Totally. Keeping your eyes peeled on Twitter is huge, because like so many opportunities are on Twitter. Like, hey, we need some people to play this game or whatever, right? So yeah, knowing what to look for. Yeah. Also, I would agree with you for sure about the about finding other casters. Like, oh, well, this person's playing the same new weird game that you're playing. Why don't you raid them, even though we've never seen them? But I've watched them for half an hour and vetted them, and I know that they're decent. Or I don't know. Not many casters or established casters want to raid a channel that they haven't at least like vetted a little bit, right? So then the caster trusts the CM or mods to say, hey, we trust your community in this channel, or they're going to be a good place to go.
Yeah, that's a big part of what I do is run around looking at the people that we get suggested for the shows. And I watch a lot of talk shows. I spend a lot of my time watching talk shows and seeing what I can pull from those shows to make our stuff better.
Constantly looking for creative inspiration. Yeah, vetting people takes a long time. And you never, sometimes you get a bad impression of someone right away, but if you stick around for like another 5 minutes, like, oh, that was just a like weird moment and a whole thing. So yeah, you do have to put in like a decent amount of time looking at individuals, and we do get so many suggestions that come in for wheel and panels and all the different things. So yeah, it's a big portion of it. How much time do you spend doing activities for each of the Twitch streams, both on a routine basis and then prior to a big event such as a Twitch anniversary?
Wait, sorry.
So I think I'm trying to parse this one out a little bit. How much time do you spend doing activities for, I probably just like a normal stream, on like a routine basis. And I think we kind of answered this before. Like Cap was saying, pretty much like 24 hours a day, like from the time you wake up, the time you go to sleep. But then when bigger events come around, it's going to be like a massive push on all fronts. Or if you have like a big, whether it be an event, whether it be a sponsored thing, whether it be anything like that, everyone steps up their game for those.
Yeah, it's subjective depending on what it is. Like the only thing I would say is sometimes you get in this habit of like, okay, well, like Christmas, it's December 25th, so at the beginning of October, people like start thinking about it. But there's no reason why you can't be buying Christmas presents for people in like January or February if you see something cool. That's kind of the best example that I can give. Is just like if you're always mindful of certain things that are going to happen, it's not ever going to feel like you're in like crunch mode for something like that, or at least ideally it wouldn't, because it's always kind of just one of those little gears that's in the back of your head. Okay, well, your Twitch anniversary is 7 months away. I know that, but at the same time, like if I see something cool, I can still stick it back there and say this would be cool to do on our stream anniversary.
Yep. Always being aware. I always have a notebook right next to me, and I literally say it in chat, takes notes, and I'm actually taking notes. I think it's so much of what we come from and what our ideas come from are when we're just streaming and you're playing Subnautica and dicking around and somebody says something and you're like, holy crap, that's a great idea. And if I don't write it down, we're not going to talk about it later. So yeah, I think that, and with to the point of how much time do we spend before big things, I think it really just depends on what that thing asks for. But we tend to spend a lot more time on the larger, especially weeks in advance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know for like Kyente's, when his 9-month sub babies came up, for example, we thought, oh man, it would be so funny if we had a baby shower stream. So then we it spent like 14 hours probably filming all new alerts. We set up the green screen because we didn't have the good green screen yet. So we set up a whatever green screen, made all new alerts. It was me delivering a balloon, him delivering a balloon from me. We bought a nurse's costume. It was we went all out for 14 hours, made all these alerts, and then we used them for 4-hour stream.
Yeah.
Basically, right? Which we think it was hilarious. But was it worth it? I don't know. Did anyone care?
It was worth it.
That's production though. That you spend, what is it? They say it's 3 hours of filming to get 5 minutes of usable footage or something. That is production. It's not, hey, we're gonna sit down at a computer and just play video games. It's a shit ton more than that.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
If your caster is part of a stream team, I know I'm not. Are you guys part of teams at all? So if they're on a team, how much involvement is there in cross promoting that community versus beyond simple name drops, promotion, or rating? And then I guess the bigger question is there any real benefit for these teams for a caster's own community?
I think it really depends on what you define as benefit, right? If you want, there's some stream teams who are just friends, and the benefit is feeling a closer connection with those people, right? And then there are some stream teams that are more, I don't know, I guess like supportive in goods. Like I know Kyente is on Noble Esports. So like they sent us this chair for Christmas, for example, right? It's like, oh, well, that's a great benefit. We got a new chair.
Yeah.
Right. Super cool. And like, they're so supportive. Like the owner of Noble and his kind of second in command are very supportive, and like they're our cheerleaders too. Like they want us to succeed because the better he does, it also looks good for them, right? Like their streamer is doing well. So, but then there's also, I know that the Mamas and the Papas just disbanded, but if you're familiar with that stream team, like that was just a group of friends, and that's also a great benefit depending on what you define benefit as, because you get to support your friends and be able to like show on your stream like, hey, I'm in this friend group or whatever. So
yeah, like I'm not on an official stream team in any way, but if you were to ask me what my stream team is, I can tell you the exact people that I feel like I'm part of a stream team with.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a part of one stream team that's kind of a joke, and then another one called the Retro Variety Dream Team. The focus kind of being people who focus on retro games, a variety of retro games, obviously, because it's in the title. But and I will say, like, this isn't, it all depends on the specific team and what everybody wants to get out of it. There's not really a lot of interaction between any of us, but it is nice to be able to have that little thing under your stream and have a thing that I can go click on and say, okay, well, these are probably going to be a bunch of people that I like and that are playing games that I want to see and playing games that I want to share with, my community. And that's what the team that I'm on is used for, but it's so different for everybody.
What's your joke team?
Hashtag thirsty AF.
Okay, I'm on that stream too, but I don't stream.
Yes.
And how do we join?
Right? I was born into that.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how it happened, because like I literally don't stream. It's actually it was kind of a meme that I stream once a year, because I streamed once in 2014, and then I streamed once in 2015 and once in 2016. And I just realized the other day that I didn't stream in 2017.
How
so
could
guys,
you?
Oh no.
Joke's dead.
Just don't tell anybody. That bury the lead right away. This never happened.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers it, but you streamed in 2017.
Yeah, you're right.
How would you deal with unmodding a close member of the community? Both I and the caster feel uncomfortable about doing it, but the person no longer represents the community well, even after addressing it. Ooh,
That's literally it right there. Like if there's basically two possible outcomes here. Either they are going to understand, I'm probably generalizing this quite a bit, so I apologize, but they're either going to recognize their behavior and they're going to understand, and it's going to be fine, or it might be, it might be a little weird, mostly because of how people in chat might react. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're not a sword and you don't have a sword anymore. You're going to be seeing that for a little bit, but and if you approach them and they react poorly, then all that does is solidify your decision that, as much as it sucks that this person that you probably trusted at one point, whatever has happened to make you feel like you have to, remove them from that position. If they react negatively, then that just reinforces your decision in the first place. And, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's really important, again, like open communication, like tell them,
Yes.
hey, I don't feel that, that we need you in this capacity or these ideals, or we've had this conversation and I see nothing changing, blah, blah, blah. But make sure you're open, because I know I've been unmodded in one community ever, and they said nothing to me, and I just went there one day and I wasn't a mod, and they were like super awkward about it and didn't explain why, and I was just like, okay, well, now I don't feel comfortable ever going back there, right?
Yeah, because you take it personal.
Like I feel like I did something wrong. So I would say just be honest and like open.
Yeah. And I think it's a scary situation for a lot of people because we all get really hesitant when it comes to awkward situations like that. But it always goes back to one of my favorite quotes. Mean what you're saying in these situations, but don't be mean about what you're saying to them. So make sure that you're very clearly stating why they are no longer needed and that they are still fully welcome to return to the community. Of course, if that's the case, if they are toxifying your community and that's the reason why you're getting rid of them, don't say that. But I think I've seen it several times where people do get unmodded for really reasonable reasons, but because it was done poorly, they don't return, and that's a shame. So make sure you're being nice to these people that have been there for you.
Yeah, I've unmodded people, but it's never been like, hey, you did something wrong. It was like, hey, you stopped coming to stream ever. So like I need you here sometimes. But if you're never around, then it's hard to be a moderator. So I don't know.
Yeah, and if you are interested in doing this, we can maybe talk about it and we can work towards that again. Because I think it's also important too, if you're hesitant about modding someone, to kind of put them in a transitionary period, make sure that they do work in that way.
Sometimes it is a matter of numbers as well too.
Yeah.
Because you do not want all mods in your chat talking, and that's it, because that doesn't look very welcoming either. Like if they're all mods, then I don't want to say anything. I don't have one of those icons.
Yeah,
I'm so bad for that because I talk a lot and I'm a mod, so I'll I just don't mind the mod sword. I just talk a lot. Okay.
It almost sucks that that has to be a problem though, and I understand that it can be, or it can be intimidating for a viewer, especially somebody that maybe is generally not very talkative to begin with in chats, to say, hey, I might want to actually interact with these people, and to for some reason be uncomfortable because there are a bunch of people that are moderators. It's like mods are people too, guys. It's fine.
Even though I do have a bot moderator, Droidberry's a moderator in my chat. It was needed one morning. All right, we had 600 people during E3. Do you think Twitch should add a rank? Speaking of these, do you think Twitch should add a rank for regulars or longtime viewers that has more permissions than a viewer but less than a mod? Although I'm wondering.
Wait, what?
A rank for regulars, longtime viewers that has more permissions than a viewer but less than a mod. I think you can do that with bots a little bit already.
And I think there are people in communities that kind of have that already.
Yeah, I would say I think that it would be awesome if there was a special badge that you could give someone that didn't actually give them any more permissions, but it showed off hey, this is a trusted streamer friend, but I don't necessarily want to mod all my streamer friends. But okay, so say, let's use Daniel the Demon because Captain brought up modding for Daniel earlier, right? So Daniel and Kyente are friends, but Daniel's not a mod in Kyante's channel. But if Daniel came in, we would want people to be without having to shut him out, for people to go follow him because we like him, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be cool if we just gave our badge?
Yeah. That's a great idea.
This is our friend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that it wouldn't necessarily give more permissions, but just hey, this is a special person.
Yeah, kind of a different concept. Yeah.
And it would kind of take that pressure off of the caster to kind of stop their flow and be like, oh, can we get a shout out or a caster command for such and such? People could just see that icon and be like, this person we approve, so check them out. Granted, that could create a whole new social dynamic, but why don't I have one?
Yeah.
That's always going to be there.
Let's see. Have you ever sat out of community games or events just so you could focus on moderating chat?
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, I would say there are definitely some sacrifices. As much as you guys clearly all seem to enjoy the position, there are certainly some things that you have to kind of step away from as a result.
It's the first thing I think of anytime you want me to do games with you. I'm like, well, but I also need to be in there. So yeah, that's always the first thing that I think of.
And I'm never that busy.
Yeah, I find like, especially during marathon streams, when we're streaming like not in our regular hours, so like maybe none of our mods are awake for a period of time, but I'm still there, and then I want to play a game with Kyente. It's like, well, I'm gonna like have chat on my phone beside me, so I don't have to alt tab, so I can ban someone if I need or whatever, right?
I got the game here. I got the ban tablet here. We're good.
Yeah.
I need you to have a phone case that literally has a hammer on the back of it.
Oh my god. My old phone case actually had bunny ears and it had a bunny tail, but it doesn't fit my new phone.
This one says more of a hypothetical, but do you ever think there's a point where mods should get rewarded for what they do?
That's a loaded question.
That does feel loaded.
Rewarded with what?
That's what I was wondering too. Because you guys did say that even though it's not necessarily a compensated position, you've all expressed rewards that you feel you've gotten out of it.
I think the title is a reward in and of itself. Like, you are lucky enough to be that thing for that community.
Yeah, and also like,
else.
Yeah, like if some reward other than your satisfaction for helping someone comes out of it, then cool. And if that caster decides that, then cool. Yeah. But if you like never be like, I want to be a mod because I'm gonna make killer money. That's don't.
And that's I mean, the moderator position is generally something that whoever steps up to do that would enjoy doing. So like, to take just like money and add it into that, that could very easily just take that enjoyment right out of it, because suddenly, and not that you don't take it seriously before, but it's like you're literally investing your money into something that I'm doing. So like it's the pressure's on, in a totally different way. And I think that, if the caster and the mod team can come to some sort of agreement that works for them, then that's great. It's different for everybody, but just like in general, I would say that's usually not something that's necessary.
Yeah, I think it's circumstantial too. Like, one of my favorite casters that I would say is a large influencer on Twitch and also has an amazing team behind him is Carnage, and he has had that team around him for a very long time, and they didn't start off being compensated, but they are now like a part of his staff because he has that ability to do that. So I think it's also depending upon what you're able to do.
And it puts like a weird pressure on you too. Like right now, if I'm modding for a streamer and then I'm also at work, then my work is my priority, obviously. Right, like I want to help them as much as I can. But then if they were paying me, I would be like I have
my work too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to be compensated.
I feel like you'd have to start having shifts and stuff like, I'm supposed to be here at this time. And
where's my healthcare?
Yeah. I think there are ways that aside from just like thanking people, that casters try like to thank their CMs and their mods. Anyway, like I've told my moderators, like we have a giveaway list, and I've told my moderators, if you see something on that you want, it's yours. Tell me. Like, you can pick and choose off that. You guys have first choice or whatever. And then like there's like little things like just when you can afford to like throw somebody a game or send them something in the mail or whatever. Like, I would love to be able to pay everybody who does stuff for me all the time, but then the entire team also recognizes that I'm barely scraping by. So like we're all working to build it up so that everybody can benefit off it as much as possible. Yeah. Totally. How do you feel if your streamer says, today we're doing an IRL stream? Do you prepare differently?
Yeah, IRL streams always scare me for like moderation or chat, because usually IRL streams like outside Kyente.
Well, yeah, your IRL streams are actually IRL streams.
Yeah, I do them together. So then like I have my phone, whatever, but then I'm like actively streaming with him. So then it's always like the hope that we put everything in the hands of our mods. Like, Time out the dicks.
Yeah, it's not necessarily any more preparation, I guess, that goes into it. But yeah, I mean, there is, like, that there's going to be somebody or a couple of people or or whatever that's going to say something stupid. But I wouldn't say the process as far as moderation is any different. I just be like a little bit more diligent, but it is what it is. You just got to read the chat and boop what needs to be booped, I guess. And make sure that you are at least considering taking advantage of tools that you don't normally take advantage of, like followers only mode and stuff like that. Would be about the only thing that I have in the back of my head. Like, okay, well, if suddenly 50 people come in here that are brand new and just spamming stupid stuff, then I have it in the back of my head that I can throw it in sub mode if I need to, stuff like that. Just be aware of the tools that you have available to you, basically, is what I'm saying.
I don't think that's limited to just the IRL category. I think that's really any category.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, IRL does have this slowly growing perception of being a little more toxic than some of the other areas. Like, I purposely stream in creative when I cook over using IRL, which I know a lot of people will switch to, but like, I'm like, this should be in creative. This is where I belong right now. Like, I'm not just doing an IRL stream, so I don't know. I follow the rules.
They kind of, it's so like the rule line is so blurred now, because it's like if you're not playing a game and you're focusing on chat, then cooking can be either.
Yeah, it really can, honestly.
Yeah. Also, just because Kaz mentioned it, I wanted to say I agree with her that doing IRL or doing any like marathon stream or doing whatever stream, if there are no mods at the time, there are so many trusted community members that I know that we've definitely just like temp modded someone.
I have too, absolutely.
And it's just like you both understand that they're going to be unmodded after.
And sometimes those are the way you get your new mods.
Yeah.
Honestly, because sometimes you just don't unmod them afterwards. You're like, that was awesome. Do you want to keep doing that?
Absolutely, yeah.
What is the best way as a moderator? Oh, this is actually a really good question. What's the best way as a moderator and probably also as a CM to boost viewership and attention toward the stream that you mod? And I think this is a good question, not only just for that, but also kind of dealing with the Twitch etiquette of networking and things like that.
Like make GIFs, make extra content for Twitter, hype it up in that streamer's Discord. Like, hey, they're live, blah, blah, blah. Retweet their tweets, reply to their tweets, be like, hell yeah, excited for your stream.
I love it when you reply to Kyente's tweet. It gives me life. I'm like, oh, I just love them so much. That, and I would say doing the same in chat as well.
Yeah.
If you can say, guys, go retweet the tweet that we just popped out. And being active in chat, but not, commandeering it.
Right.
But then also like don't advertise yourself other places, because I know that like some viewers are like will go post in someone else's Discord or like what just don't do that. Yeah. Just like make your own Twitter and retweet it and get hype on your own stuff, but like don't be rude.
Yeah.
That in turn just looks bad on the caster, and you don't want that. And I know that that's never those viewers' intention, but that's the result. So just like get hype in the correct avenues. Yeah.
I would say a lot of it too is like just as you're going out and you're vetting people to raid, becoming active in other communities as well, because that's making friends is legitimately the best way to grow your channel. I mean, for me, doing collaborative stuff like this has been the best thing for me. I love doing things with other people and hosting and all that. So like, I was not aware of Kyente's stream until Todd introduced me to it, and now I love hanging out in there. It's wonderful, and I'm so glad that you guys are like a part of this group and everything now. So it's been and it should be qualified too, making legitimate friends with people. Don't just look at somebody's numbers and go, I want that person on my channel because they're going to bring their community over. Like,
oh, it's hella obvious.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Be authentic. put the effort in and make friends with people who you feel like you enjoy their content or like-minded or anything like that. As a mod, how would you deal with a huge influx of toxicity? Ban. That's even an easy one. I can answer that one right away. What's the best way you have found to dig up resources, people, tools, etc. for streams projects? Where do you go to find out the new stuff?
Twitch subreddit can be really good for that sort of thing.
Agreed. That's a good one.
I also like to generally follow like new like software releases and stuff like that. Just to kind of the OBS forums are really good too. Because that's usually where like all the new plugins and things. If once something is released, it's the first place it goes. Stuff like that, and of course PB uses XSplit, so that doesn't necessarily always help, but it's still good to know that something is there, like if there's something that does something cool. And Twitter, I know we kind of talked about that before, but Twitter is literally the best thing as far as finding information, finding brand new information goes. It's the best.
As far as social media goes, Twitter and Twitch are like linked up.
And use the people around you. I think one of the things that I've done several times with you, Captain, is reached out to you about things that I know that you would know about. So use that networking that you have, that you've made in a genuine way, and get those answers that way too.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you're right. Like so many Twitch streamers use Twitter. It's like a new product is released, someone's going to be bitching about it. So just like go on Twitter, you'll find out.
Sometimes avoid Twitter for that reason.
That's a really good point, Todd. Like ask people too, like people that you know in that way, where it's like, or even for myself, where I'm like, oh, I know that this person is really into this, and I saw this, so I'm gonna send them a link because I'm not gonna use it, but like I know this person might be interested in it for their community or whatever.
Totally.
And like watching out for each other too.
Yeah.
Some of these questions are coming in we kind of answered earlier as well, so I'm going to skip over those. And for those of you that submitted them, if I don't get to your question, watch the VOD or watch it on YouTube later. I guarantee you we answered your question at some point during this. Do you think the streamer should do more than tweet and tag Discord, like using Snapchat or other things? I assume to announce that they're going live or to give updates.
For going live notifications specifically, I really dislike getting Snapchats saying live now. Like, especially if you want to put it in your story, like whatever, I'm probably not going to watch it. But especially like when I get one, like personally, like it comes, like I get a notification, I open it and it's like, hey, I'm live. I'm like, oh. Like, because to me, Snapchat is for me to like goof around with my friends, not for that. So yeah. Personally, if I follow you on Twitter and I see a live tweet, I'm not offended. I followed you, you're a Twitch streamer. But if you're like sending me a notification to my phone on Snapchat, then I'm actually probably less likely to go. I don't know.
You've invaded the space where this is not a thing.
Yeah, it's like awkward.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. I think live tweets can be a shit show regardless too. I think where they really belong is in Discord.
And when they tag everyone.
Yeah.
Tag like 80 people. At Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't care.
Microsoft doesn't care. That's stuff. I mean, I think if you're doing it different every time and you're making it creative, like one thing I really enjoy about PB's stream is she used to do the whole screenshot and it's a GIF and yeah, there's a cat on me. I can say hi to Mila. Say hello.
Panelist.
She's a great CM. She does it real good over here. It's where I learn all my stuff. So if you're making it creative, especially, I agree with you, Bun. In Snapchat, it's so repetitive and it's like the same, and their link is on it, and you can't like click on the link. So what do you? But I do understand. Like they want people to know, so I see the value in that. But I think the most important thing is if you're gonna do that, you're gonna commit to that, make it creative.
Yeah,
make it different every time.
I also so there's this new thing with Snapchat, right, where you can like attach a link and then you swipe up and it goes to the link. So there's been times
Where you accidentally go into someone's.
Okay, so for example, there's this person and they had the Snapchat on their story and they're wearing like a very cute top sitting in their DX Racer, and it's like a photo of them and it doesn't say their Twitch link. It just like was their shirt. And I was like, that's a beautiful shirt. I'm going to compliment them. And then I went to swipe up because I is usually
to message.
and then it went to their Twitch channel and I was like, ah!
Horrified.
Oh no.
You got bamboozled.
You fooled me.
That's great.
And then I went into their Twitch channel and I was like, hey, I was really just trying to say that I like your shirt. I want to write it in Snapchat.
Just end up making a comment in their chat instead of the actual message on
Snapchat.
We're going to start winding down, but I do have like one more question. So as moderators and CMs, what kind of tools would you like to see from Twitch to make your jobs easier?
Oh boy.
I know we are kind of doing like a wish list type thing right now.
I don't know if this is a stretch, and I don't know if this is something they've thought of or if this is silly, but I've always wanted to see a actual bot that was integrated from Twitch and not from a secondary service, for specific things like title changes and volume. I think there are other services that are answering that problem, but it would be interesting to see Twitch do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or to officially partner with a service that does that, and make it a bit more integrated. So it's not so big of a stretch for people that aren't maybe as educated in that realm.
So that even if it's still a third-party application, well, not third-party, but even if it's a separate application, it's something that's using the direct API and integration with Twitch instead of someone having
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way it's a little bit less laggy. I know exactly who I need to contact to fix this problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I know like they announced the separate chat rooms or whatever.
Yeah, it dropped earlier today actually.
Yeah.
It is live.
That is my nightmare.
I can't.
I was like, are you serious? More? Why?
We started having a debate in Discord about that already. How do people feel about that in general, that new feature, and like, what are you going to use it?
I know for Kyente, he was like, definitely not. Like, I don't want to separate my subs, and
that's hard.
And I don't want to separate mods, and like we have Discord for that reason. Why would I want to look at extra chats?
We had that exact.
Rob and I
earlier.
were talking about this maybe like yesterday about how we know people will watch streams in Discord and discuss it separately from regular chat, and how we hate that.
Yeah.
So I would
like
rather
come over here and be with us.
Yeah.
Why not?
And like you can already make, I thought maybe it was in Better Twitch TV or something, but you could already have separate chat things that, like no one used.
Good. And then I think they took them away when they said that Rooms was coming, and now that they're back, they're basically the same thing. What I do like though, is I like the idea, but we use Discord for this right now, and it works totally fine. And I've never had a desire to be able to do this on Twitch, but I do like the idea of being able to potentially make a separate room, like just during that stream, for like spoiler discussion. Like if your streamer's playing a game that you know is going to be ripe for people that want to come in and talk about it with other people and talk about things that have happened later on in the story or whatever, to be able to like go up here and pop a second room open really quick that just says, hey, spoiler talk goes in here, and they can do that. Like, I think that would be kind of cool.
But then like would the streamer not look at that chat then?
Ideally, they wouldn't. Correct.
So it would really just be up to that viewer and chatter to kind of balance between both chats.
They would have they would have to click over and look at the spoiler chat specifically. But I see what you're saying. Like, you wouldn't necessarily want to at the same time, even though you designated this room for spoiler talk specifically, you also wouldn't necessarily want to separate discussion either. Yeah. So it would be interesting to me to see what that balance ends up actually being like, and just kind of monitoring it and seeing how much like off topic of spoilers discussion goes on in that room.
I conceptually like the idea of like having a spoiler chat, but also, like you said, I don't want people to disengage from the actual conversation that I'm a part of.
Yeah, like
and I don't want, I bet if you had a separate spoiler chat, you're actually going to get more incidents of spoilers in the normal chat, because people will be like, oh, oops, I thought I was in the other one, I'm sorry. and it'll be completely
and then you have
accidental.
to play the game of like, no, you knew what you were doing, you know. Yeah, I see that. I can see that for sure.
But I don't think it's something that you should necessarily say no to. I think it's definitely worth trying.
Oh yeah.
I think it really depends on your channel. Like, for massive channels,
it's great for massive channels.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. Or for tournaments or whatever. Cool. But I think for most of the communities that I'm like a integral part of, that I think all those casters wouldn't want to split their chat up. But yeah, I guess it comes down to the preference of the caster, right?
And how are you moderating both chats as one mod?
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to designate mods for individual chats, which
creates a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Cap. It would be interesting to see how it plays out.
So find a game that you don't care that much about if it gets spoiled, or one you've played already.
Well, because I'm thinking, like, I know you guys said that PB's playing The Last of Us. I would love to have a secondary chat to talk about that with people. So I see the major benefit of that.
I do too.
But I would like to see how it would actually play out.
I see the benefit of putting in Discord because there's a more physical separation.
Yeah.
Someone knows exactly where they are that way.
It's a lot harder to accidentally put a spoiler in Twitch chat versus...
Yeah. Unless, I mean, if you're not going to juggle between the two chats, you're probably fine. But if someone's going to be like, oh, I'm going to talk about this in spoiler and I'm going to jump back to the normal and talk in there too, accidents are going to happen. It's just gonna. But it all depends. So,
yeah, it sounds like a really big, like, good in theory, but in practice, it's probably going to be just a little bit too much of a pain in the ass.
I mean, I'm fine with any feature and like options that they want. They're not taking anything away. They're saying this is something if you want to use it. I know it's very new, and a lot of people are like right away, like, oh, don't divide my chat up. But at the same time, it's like, just wait a little bit. Someone's going to use it in a really creative way that we're all going to be like, that's it right there. That's why we have this.
Great, yeah.
The gaming aspect of it could actually be really interesting. Like if you could literally take your chat and kind of like pit them against each other, and obviously there's an element of trust there still.
Yeah.
But if you could say like Team A go to this room and Team B go to this room, you could get really creative with that. That would be really interesting.
That would be
that could be fun.
Yeah. You'd have people. Well, I mean, I don't want to see. That's the thing. Right away, my first instinct is I don't want to split people up. But at the same time, I could be like, hey, go in the chat room of the contestant you're rooting for. And
great for RP, honestly. Like if you're role playing with a group.
Oh God, yeah.
That's true.
No, I see the possibility, and it seems like something that was easy to roll out. So why not?
So many things. All right. I don't want to keep you guys too long. We've gone 2 hours easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was 2 hours?
Yeah.
We talk a lot, guys.
It goes by.
I was excited.
I mean, obviously we could keep going, but I try to value my guest time as much as possible, so I don't want to keep you guys too late. And also my bedtime is in like an hour, so I start to fade around this time. But I do want you to have the opportunity to not only promote yourself if you do stream as well, but also promote the channel that you CM for. If you have any streams that you know are coming up, any major events that you know are coming up, or even you just know what you're going to be playing soon, please tell us all the things, Captain.
Well, as far as Pumpkinberry goes, I've got some cool stuff coming up. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we are doing a 12-hour Elite Dangerous exploration stream. We'll be traveling to the Carina Nebula, and that was one of the incentives for the charity stream that she just shift for Project 168 that she just did. So that's coming up next Sunday. I think that's the 25th. Every Thursday is Elite Dangerous RP. Every Friday is Fright Nights. And then other than that, Monday through Wednesday, she just likes to play pretty much anything, lots of story-driven adventure games. Anything that makes you think is definitely our jam. And then next month on the 14th is the 1 year of Twitch partnership celebration, which is going to be dope. We're doing some, I believe we will be drawing for the Elgato HD 60S, I think. So we'll be giving that away. That'll be fun. As far as me, I stream when I can. I can really only say that there's one day a week that I will almost always stream, which is Sunday. I get up super early.
And he plays
around like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I play PUBG like until I feel like I'm going to pass out, basically. But yeah, other than that, that's me.
Bun?
Cool. Kyente and I are doing our first Festival Explorer stream on Saturday. So basically, we got hired by our province in Canada to do explore the festivals in Manitoba this summer. And so there's one winter festival, and then the rest will be in the summer. So the first one is on Saturday, and that'll be really exciting. We'll be there for like 8 hours, but I'm sure that we won't stream the whole time. Anyway, so we'll be doing that on his channel, as well as tomorrow he's doing, I think, like a 12-hour Sea of Thieves stream because it's open access this weekend.
It is?
And then on the 20th,
really?
which is Tuesday.
Oh, it's like open? It's not like beta?
I don't know.
It might be beta.
Like allowed to be streamed is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
As in, I didn't buy it, so I can't play yet.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I also don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the 20th, which is Tuesday, is the 3rd annual Kyente Awards, where we nominate people in chat and then give them a meaningless award, but bragging rights. like Cheerful Chatter was one of them. Lurker. There's some other ones. Best viewer art, things like that are awards in the past. So yeah, so that'll be on Tuesday. So lots coming up.
Yeah.
And then as for myself, you can find me over at Twitter, Bunheadwhat, and on Instagram, I'm Ruthann Rabbit. I have 2 bunnies. And,
I don't think I follow you on Instagram. What is wrong with me?
Wow. And also our bunnies have an Instagram, and it's called Mr. the Rabbit.
What?
And, it has both Maple and Mr., and they're really cute, and I'm trying to post on it more.
Both of them? Oh, heck.
Yeah. Oh, heck is right. Yeah. That's it. That's
I
all.
saw that
up and
glancing
coming.
over to your board too. That organization is treating you well right now.
Yeah.
Todd, I mean, I'll just make you do it. Even though I could.
All right. Okay. What are we doing, Rob? I forgot. Trailer Park. We have tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow we are continuing Game of Thrones in our movie night that we do. We are watching the entirety of the Game of Thrones season, which is really fun. I think we're going to be finished like next year.
Yeah, we'll finish in February of 2019.
Which is awesome.
Oh,
yes.
So I think we're starting season 3, yeah?
We are.
So we're starting season 3 Friday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. 9.
8 for you, 9 for me.
Yeah, see, time zones are cool.
Yep.
And then Saturday we have Trailer Park at 11 p.m. Eastern, or did you decide to change that? Yes.
11 a.m.
Did I say p.m.?
I think so.
a.m. in the morning. But yes, that's what we have coming up the next 2 days.
I just say I would love an 11 p.m. Trailer Park on Saturday night. I think that'd be dope.
Let's do it.
I've asked people if we want to do it later, and people are like, "Let's do it in the morning." I'm like, sometimes I like to sleep in too, but I would totally I would even do an encore at night if we want to do it on Saturday night.
Hell yeah, let's do it, y'all.
For that. And then on Sunday we're gonna do you don't even know this yet, Todd, because I'm just
this is where I'm at.
Well, I found out literally before the panel. We are doing our 2 podcasts that we were supposed to do last weekend. We're gonna do them on Sunday, so we're doing a regular podcast episode at 3:30, and then we're gonna follow that up finally with our spoiler-filled discussion of The Last Jedi, which we might do that off stream and then air that later and try out the premiere feature and see how that goes. That way we're not just like spoiling people as they stumble into chat about a movie they should have already seen.
So spicy.
Yeah. Aside from that, next month we have a whole bunch of stuff because it's National Women's Month.
Women's
Month. And I think
because it's national, that's why
I think we're making it into a whole thing because it started off kind of inadvertently, but we have our next Wheel episode has 3 women on it. It'll be Arcane Seamstress, Imperial Girl, and Piggy Supreme will be on Wheel.
I love Imperial Girl.
And And then the panel that month, I'm thinking, should be an all-female panel as well. So
I'm thinking that it should too.
I'm thinking it should. I'm thinking the other wheels that month should also be all ladies, and all our Thursdays will be celebrating women in March.
I mean, why not?
Because why not? I'll celebrate women. I like women better than men too, so I have no problem with that. So I think that's pretty much it. I do want to thank all my panelists one more time for being here. I want to thank chat for being awesome. You guys were super encouraging. Thank you for all your fabulous questions and all the comments about how much you enjoyed the panel. I enjoyed the panel. I'm enjoying these. We're doing like one a month right now. If you have themes for panels that you'd like to see, we've been kind of theming some of them. The first one was 3 streamers, and then we kind of did full time, and now we're doing CMs. The only other one that we have planned theme wise is in May. We're going to be doing a mental health panel, so we're going to get some people for that as well, because that is mental health month. So, and people have requested that one. But if anyone else has a panel theme that you would like to see, please let me know. If not, just let me know. I don't know, like real contestants and all that kind of stuff and all the things. Booking people is exhausting, so I thank you guys so much for being here. You know the stress.
Yeah, thank
this was wonderful.
This is my first time doing anything like this.
Yeah.
Usually I'm in chat.
Well, thank you for being on it.
We're lucky to have you both.
Absolutely.